The morning arrives with a profound sense of stillness, a quiet invitation that lingers at the very edge of the dwelling. There is a weight to the air here, a coolness that seems to hold the light in place before it fully breaks across the ground. The boundary between the world outside and this small, private sanctuary is marked by a simple transition, a point of entry that feels both certain and gentle. Sunlight begins its slow ascent, touching the textures of the perimeter with a pale, golden clarity that reveals the passage of time without a word. Every surface holds a story of seasons past, of rain and wind and the steady, rhythmic breathing of the earth. The light does not rush. It settles into the crevices and follows the grain, highlighting the quiet integrity of the space. In this moment, the concept of time feels suspended, as if the day is waiting for permission to proceed. The silence is not an absence of sound but a presence of peace, a foundational layer of the home's outer identity. It is a soft beginning, a threshold where the rush of the external environment fades into the background, replaced by the intimate scale of a personal landscape. There is no urgency to cross, only a reason to linger and witness the way the shadows begin to shift and stretch, tracing the first patterns of the new day against the familiar textures of the entrance. The ground beneath is a mosaic of light and shadow, a shifting map created by the overhead canopy that filters the world into manageable pieces. Each step forward feels like an intentional departure from the noise of the street, a slow immersion into a more focused reality. The path is not a straight line, but a gentle suggestion, leading the eye toward the structure that anchors this small plot of land. There is a rhythm to the way the light strikes the surface, a flickering dance that changes with the slightest movement of the air. The colors here are muted, leaning into the soft grays and deep greens that define a domestic sanctuary. The air feels different as one moves deeper into the enclosure, carrying the scent of damp earth and the subtle freshness of shaded growth. The house stands as a silent sentinel, its presence felt in the way the light bounces off the walls and settles into the corners of the yard. It is a space of containment, where the scale of the world is reduced to the distance between the gate and the door. The atmosphere is one of profound belonging, a sense that every element has found its rightful place over years of quiet coexistence. Nothing is out of balance. The shadows provide a necessary contrast to the brilliance of the sun, creating a visual depth that encourages a slower pace and a deeper breath. In the corners where the sun rarely reaches with full intensity, a different kind of life unfolds in the cool, blue-tinted shadows. Here, the atmosphere is heavy with moisture and the quiet hum of a space that is content to remain hidden. The light is diffused, stripped of its heat, acting instead as a soft highlighter for the intricate patterns that thrive in the dampest reaches of the front plot. There is a stillness here that feels ancient, a pocket of the garden that exists outside the direct influence of the passing day. The textures are soft and layered, creating a sense of density within a very small footprint. This is the architecture of the overlooked, the beauty that reveals itself only when one stops to look at the base of the home, where the stone meets the soil. The silence in this corner is absolute, broken only by the internal logic of the garden itself. It is a reminder of the many layers that exist within a single front yard, the way a few feet of distance can transform the mood from bright and open to intimate and secluded. The shadows are deep and inviting, offering a visual rest from the more vibrant sections of the landscape. Everything here is soft to the eye, a composition of curves and delicate structures that lean into the protection of the house's foundation. It is a masterclass in the power of the subtle, where the lack of movement becomes a form of expression in itself. As the afternoon progresses, the light begins to thicken, turning from a pale yellow to a rich, honeyed amber that coats every object in warmth. On the stone steps that lead toward the interior, an object rests in total stillness, catching the direct rays of the sun and reflecting them back into the garden. This is the height of the day's warmth, a period where the garden seems to soak up the energy before the inevitable cooling of the evening. The shadows are longer now, stretching across the porch with a deliberate grace. There is a sense of domesticity in this scene, a quiet acknowledgement of the daily rituals that sustain this small patch of earth. The metal surface of the vessel glows with a soft luminescence, highlighting the curves and the subtle wear that speaks of frequent use. The air is still, almost heavy, as if the garden is holding its breath in the heat. The contrast between the warm stone and the cool shadows beneath the eaves creates a visual tension that is deeply satisfying. It is a moment of pure observation, where the simple placement of an object becomes a focal point for the surrounding piece. The world beyond the fence feels miles away, blocked out by the golden haze that fills the space between the plants and the porch. Time slows to a crawl, measured only by the slow movement of the golden light across the textured floor. Between the main body of the home and the boundary of the lot lies a narrow corridor of light and shadow, a secret transition that feels entirely removed from the public gaze. The architecture of the house creates a rhythmic pattern of darkness against the ground, a series of stripes that move with the sun. This space is functional yet beautiful in its simplicity, a long stretch of quiet that connects the front to the hidden depths of the property. The light here is dramatic, cutting through the vertical lines of the fence to create a geometric display of contrast. There is a feeling of being protected within these narrow confines, held between the solid weight of the home and the textured barrier of the wood. The air is slightly cooler here, channeled through the passage like a soft breath. It is a place for quiet movement, a transition zone that demands nothing but a moment of appreciation for the way light interacts with structure. The simplicity of the composition allows the mind to rest, focusing on the repetition of the shadows and the clarity of the lines. There is no clutter, only the essential elements of the home's exterior, rendered in the high-contrast light of the mid-afternoon. It is a small world within a small world, a testament to the idea that every square inch of a domestic landscape holds the potential for beauty and reflection. Sometimes the most profound moments in the garden are found in the smallest details, the microscopic evidence of a world in constant, quiet flux. Under an overcast sky, the light becomes perfectly even, stripping away the harshness of the sun and revealing a silver-toned clarity. On the leaves of a low-growing plant, moisture has gathered into perfect spheres, each one holding a distorted reflection of the sky and the surrounding greenery. These drops are like jewels, temporary and fragile, yet they define the mood of the morning with their presence. There is a stillness in this view that feels almost sacred, a focus so tight that the rest of the world ceases to exist. The colors are saturated and deep, the greens appearing more vivid against the gray backdrop of the day. The atmosphere is one of hushed anticipation, as if the garden is waiting for the clouds to break or the wind to stir. For now, however, everything is held in a delicate balance. The lack of direct light allows for a level of detail that is usually lost in the glare, showing the fine textures and the structural integrity of the foliage. It is a scene of quiet resilience, a small front plot thriving in its own time and at its own pace. The silence is profound, a blanket of calm that covers the ground and settles into the very roots of the space. As evening begins to settle over the front plot, the colors of the garden start to deepen and merge into a single, cohesive atmosphere of blue and violet. From the vantage point of the porch, the world looks soft and approachable, the hard edges of the day blurred by the fading light. This is the hour of transition, when the home begins to glow from within and the garden prepares for the night. The space feels more enclosed than ever, the surrounding greenery acting as a living wall that protects the peace of the residents. The light that remains is ethereal, a faint glow that lingers on the tops of the plants and the peak of the roof. There is a profound sense of safety in this view, a feeling of being tucked away from the complexities of the world. The domesticity of the scene is palpable, expressed in the way the garden frames the entrance and the way the shadows settle into the familiar grooves of the path. The air is still, the wind having died down with the sun, leaving only the quiet resonance of a day well spent. It is a time for reflection, for sitting in the stillness and watching the way the landscape slowly disappears into the darkness. The front plot is no longer a collection of individual plants and stones, but a single, unified expression of home and tranquility. In the deep twilight, certain elements of the garden seem to take on a light of their own, catching the final stray photons of the day. Against the dark, indistinct wall of a tall hedge, a cluster of pale blooms stands out with startling clarity. They look like small beacons, marking the progress of the evening with their steady, unmoving presence. The contrast between the bright petals and the deep shadows behind them creates a sense of depth that is both mysterious and comforting. The atmosphere is thick with the scent of the evening, a subtle fragrance that only emerges once the sun has fully set. There is a stillness here that is different from the morning. It is a heavy, satisfied quiet that suggests a closing of doors and a retreat into the self. The garden is moving into its private phase, a time when its beauty is meant for no one but the home it belongs to. The focus is intimate, centered on this small pocket of luminescence in the growing dark. Every detail is soft and rounded, the sharp lines of the day replaced by the gentle contours of the night. It is a scene of understated elegance, a reminder that the garden continues to exist and breathe even when it is not fully visible. The peace of the front plot is absolute, a silent guard that stands at the threshold of the home. Under the cover of night, the garden becomes a world of reflections and subtle textures, illuminated by the faint light of the moon or the distant glow of a street lamp. A stone basin, sitting quietly in the center of the plot, holds a perfect circle of still water. In its surface, the skeleton of the tree above is mirrored with a clarity that seems more real than the branches themselves. There is a profound stillness to the water, a lack of ripple or movement that suggests a total absence of wind. The stone is cool to the touch, its rough surface a contrast to the liquid smoothness of the reflection. This is the garden at its most contemplative, a space of pure geometry and quiet observation. The scale is small, focused on this single point of intersection between the earth and the sky. The atmosphere is one of deep, restorative peace, a silence that reaches into the very bones of the landscape. The house is a dark shape in the background, a silent partner in this midnight vigil. There is no need for movement or sound. The mere existence of the space is enough. The reflection in the water is a reminder of the connections that define the garden, the way the high reaches of the air are brought down to the level of the ground in a single, quiet pool. From the heart of the garden, the house appears as a warm, inviting destination, its windows glowing with a soft, diffused light. The sheer curtains soften the shapes within, creating a sense of mystery and comfort that perfectly complements the stillness of the front plot. This is the final perspective, the view that links the landscape back to the life it serves. The garden is a buffer, a beautiful transition that prepares the mind for the peace of the interior. The light from the window spills out onto the nearest leaves, painting them in shades of gold and amber against the deep blue of the night. There is a profound sense of completeness in this scene, a feeling that the home and its small plot of land are in perfect harmony. The world outside the gate is forgotten, replaced by this intimate circle of light and life. The atmosphere is one of ultimate sanctuary, a place where the stresses of the day are dissolved in the quiet beauty of the surroundings. The air is cool and still, the garden having settled into its nightly rest. As the light from the window remains steady, it serves as a reminder of the enduring nature of home and the quiet, constant presence of the landscape that protects it. It is a final moment of peace, a visual sigh that marks the end of the journey through the front plot.